Next is the discussion on the Love Works sign project with Mr. Petty.
Up, I can just thank you for allowing me to come and speak on behalf of staff for this project here. This presentation that you guys have and that I'm presenting will be available online. I think it currently is with the agenda, but we'll make sure it's a nice electronic version that's legible and people can see. And I plan to keep it brief, to the point, and with your permission, we'll get through the presentation and open it up for any questions, discussion there at the end. Ms. Logan, our planning director, is here, who's been part of this project as well. And obviously our county administrator, Mr. Stanley, is also here. And if we have to, we might pull Bob out of the bullpen if we have any VDOT questions. So the history, or dealing with new technology here, hopefully. So the history of Love Works really originates from Virginia's slogan, Virginia is for lovers. It's been around for 50 years, and it's iconic throughout the world at this point. And the state of Virginia or the Commonwealth of Virginia has always pushed this tagline, and from this, Love Works has originated. And across the Commonwealth, people have been putting these signs up for quite some time. There are roughly 202 of them currently throughout the state. And if you look at this, you can see some of them here. You got Cape Charles on the top left, and Smith Mountain Lake, Portsmouth, Tappahannock, and Woodstock. Everybody approaches it in their own way. Some are more temporary, some more permanent, more mural. But all of them are the same in the sense that they reflect their community and what they have going on there. If you go to Richmond, they have the racetrack there. Appomattox, they have nice stone base represented, the music and the river. Chesapeake Island, Adirondack chairs, people like to get in, take photos. Blacksburg has a mural. Covington, they incorporated the natural landscape by having that tree there by Humpback Bridge, and anything else relates to that community. In getting to Front Royal, Warren County, the history also goes here is we've had these love letters that the state can rent to you for $1,000 an event. And they've been at various events here that people can use, and this photo came from the Town of Front Royal, Discover Front Royal website from when it was at the gazebo. And now we've actually had some community members and organizations that have taken it upon themselves. They've created their own temporary, portable Love Works, and they have two. Currently there's one on Commerce, right there on the bypass and Main Street, and then one at the gazebo. Those have been popping up around. Location. So get to our love sign. The location has been a topic of discussion. And so why did we pick this location? This, first and foremost, it is an entrance sign. It will say Front Royal, Warren County. It's going to invite people in here. And the definition of a sign in the Warren County Code talks about that. It's the purpose of making something known. We want people to know where they are when they come here. And then it also is a true gateway to our community as you come down this location. So we wanted to pick a spot that enhanced that, and the definition of a gateway can be features, and that can be buildings or signs or even natural elements like a river, which you also come to at this point. So locations. As we got together as staff, I came on board with this early last year, 2019. It had already been talked about from organizations, community members, even staff. I believe we even had an intern look up what other communities were doing. Because again, other communities started doing this. So we got together and talked about some locations, and I've highlighted them on this map. The yellow are locations that we had discussed. The red locations are ones that currently exist. And the blue locations were the locations of those portable love works that you see now, almost down to Apple House. It's been moved down here. So, locations that we looked at. One of the places, Leachfront Parkway, as you come into town. It's got a nice view there, but it is within town limits, and tourists would have already passed by the Linden canoe sign that exists, so I ruled that one out. There's also some utilities and right-of-way questions. Another place, Fantasyland, also again located in town, not really a tourist destination. A lot of tourists don't use the bypass as they travel through, so we looked at that one. I had a weird idea about putting it under the bridge where the people in the river could see it, but we shut that down pretty quick. So we ultimately went with this section up here, Guard Hill. There is an existing sign up there, but it is to the north of 66, and ultimately it's a sign welcoming people to our golf courses. We have wonderful golf courses here. We have a lot of people coming here. That's kind of their welcome that way. We wanted something that somebody gets off 66, they're traveling into town, we're welcoming them into our community. So we looked at that as a viable option. Again, we had the existing signs of South Linden. This was dedicated back in 2014. It also came with existing parking. Sorry about this microphone.
Mr. Putty, if you can actually talk directly into the mic and
Okay.
a bit closer.
Yeah, thank you. So with the existing sign here, it was dedicated in 2014, and it sees an average of 4,000 to 11,000 vehicle trips a day. And it does come with existing parking at the neighboring building that you can see here behind it that we were able to agree with the property owner on. The other existing sign that you'll see in the county that I spoke to is the golf sign. Right here next to the 7-Eleven. I'm trying to talk into this, but I don't think it's working. Maybe that'll help. So this also comes with existing parking, and it comes with, I don't know if they're trying to do something. We'll try that out. Can you all hear me? Oh, okay. So this location has about 22,000 annual trips that sees this location here. This is at corner of Country Club Road. Again, existing parking came with this. Then again, we went back to this location, Guard Hill Road, going back to the gateway, going back to what a sign is. We know that people like to use this to put their signs out. They want things to be known. We have a lot of cars, 31,000 average cars a day go by here. There's also existing signage there that we want people to stop and take a look at. So, again, we felt that this was a viable option for an entrance sign, gateway sign. It also came with a view. It's got a nice view of the mountains, the river, our town. It also is public right-of-way that we could easily work with VDOT on. And again, it has existing signage that we encourage people to stop at. We want people to look at these signs. So once we had a location in mind, we started talking about the actual design of this love sign. And we talked about ideas of making it just wood or canoes or an inner tube, a golf ball. Many different options kind of came into play. Ultimately, we came up with this design that you see in the bottom right that we will get to. So yes, we came up with this sign. We worked with a local architect and artist to help render this idea, come up with these plans. And so the design really started from the base. We knew we wanted a nice stone base that's reflective of other buildings we have here. If you drive around, you'll notice we have a lot of field stone, courthouse, town hall, signage, bridges, and we will be looking to do similar like this with our new wayfinding signage that we'll talk about in a little bit as well. And then the actual letters, again, these letters, this sign needs to be reflective of our community. What are we known for? And again, tourism, what are we known for? So L, we went with leaves. I would say the one time out of the year that we have heavy traffic is when people come to see the leaves. It's a very important thing. We looked at this design and how would we incorporate it? We thought about a case that would have leaves in it, real leaves, and then it was fake leaves. And then ultimately we came up with what these are it's a vinyl wrap that will go around these letters minus the V. Then we went to the O. Again, the O moved around from the inner tube to the golf ball, ultimately to an illustrated version of what we're known for, the mountains and rivers, both rivers, and how they will converge into this sign, into this drainage, which we'll talk about more in the second part. The V is kayaks in the shape of a V. We looked at canoes at the beginning, but structurally, and we already have a canoe sign, but structurally, how would it work? We ultimately went with the canoes just because they can insert a pole into it. Fabrication became a little bit easier for that. And we went with the red color because of love. It really stands for that. And then the E is a map. The map is Shenandoah National Park. We have spoken to the superintendent there who said they're happy to use their map for this. This map illustrates that we are the northernmost gateway of Shenandoah National Park. And then it also, as the E goes out, it shows destinations more eastward of the park. So as people come here from Northern Virginia or other parts east of Shenandoah National Park, they can then see in relation where they are to Front Royal and their ultimate destination, Shenandoah National Park. The overall site plan was designed by the same company who ultimately designed the sign, and it comes with the parking lot, relocation of the historic markers, and the love sign itself. This dark line here that you'll see is representative of our two forks of the Shenandoah River converging under the O, the illustrated version, and into ultimately what is a storm drain at the end. There's an optional for a picnic table here, but it's just optional. And then we also have a landscape plan that will not be completed at this time, but we did get a landscape plan in with VDOT because we had to go through all the process at one time. We can ultimately come back to that. So to get into more detail, so we do have a parking lot. We worked with VDOT on this project. It is their right of way. They knew we wanted people to come here and stop and look at the sign and take their photo with it. They did not want them coming off of 522 or on the side of 522. They preferred coming up and around Garfield Road into a low-grade commercial entrance into a parking lot that can adequately allow vehicles to turn around and exit safely back on Garfield Road and then ultimately to their destination. The parking lot is slated to be gravel. The entrance per VDOT specifications will be paved, and the handicap space as gravel would meet their requirements. We just have to make sure that it is stable, it can be firm, and slip resistant. That's going to be compacting and making sure that's safe. So we could ultimately pave this in the end, but I think financially, right now, we looked at just keeping that as gravel. The other important part is, as I've mentioned, there are currently signs there. We have worked with DHR on this, talked to them about it, and told them that we would like to relocate these signs closer to the parking lot, giving people a safe place to view these signs. Right now, they pull off on the side of the 522. I know everybody's been by there. It's heavily trafficked. It's 45 miles an hour. Probably not the safest place to pull over. So we have looked at moving this to make it easier. We are also going to be placing no parking signs along 522 to discourage parking, and also adding sod or topsoil and seed to the existing gravel shoulder that you see now. Kind of traffic calming a little bit, but then also discouraging people from pulling over into that section. And this is all in discussions with VDOT, DHR, and going through that process with them. And again, I think in the end it just makes it much safer for people who want to read those educational historical markers. To the budget. This budget for this project is coming from our tourism funds that we have allocated from our transit occupancy tax. This first slide, sorry for all of the text. It is the state code that talks about any levy of tax that may not exceed 5%, but anything over 2% shall be spent solely on tourism, travel, marketing, and tourism initiatives. Again, this project is part of Virginia's for Lovers, Virginia Tourism Corporation. I feel like it fits well into that, and that's what we're hoping to do, is to get some tourism driven from it. This is the Warren County Code. I'm talking about our transit or occupancy tax. Again, basically saying the same thing as the state code. Anything over 2%, which we collect 5%, has to go towards those tourism initiatives. So that is where we are bringing that money in from. It has to be spent on tourism. We currently have 2 contributions to the project. Rotary back in 2018, they kind of helped spearhead this idea at the beginning. They had seen other people doing it. We all know they're big into our community. They wanted to contribute, so they came forth with a nice contribution to this project. I also included in your packet the email we received last week from Virginia Tourism Corporation that we have been approved for the reimbursement program of $1,500, which is really exciting. Apologies, we didn't know earlier because they were in the midst of just figuring out what their new budget was going to be, and we're in the middle of a pandemic. I think they were just still wondering what they were going to do. We have been going through the permit process. We got a building permit. Here's a building permit number. We have a zoning permit, and we also have a VDOT permit for their entrance plan. Again, that entrance plan talked about the low-grade commercial entrance. Talked about what we had to do with the paving there, the no parking signs, the sodding of the side of the road. It also talked about the landscaping again that we got done, although we don't need to move forward with that at this point. Construction, it's going to be mostly done by in-house staff. We have a great staff down at Parks and Rec. I feel like we're very fortunate as a locality that we have guys like that can do this type of quality work. And they're down there, they were down there doing some of the groundwork. They're going to do the structure. We will have a contractor for the vinyl graphics. We have received some competitive bids already on that to make sure that we're getting good pricing. We priced locally, regionally, and out of state, just so we can get a good baseline of where that was. We did not approve any of those bids yet because we were just not at that stage in the process. VDOT has stated that they would like to handle the historical marker relocation. At first, it was going to be done in-house. They came in and said they would prefer to move those. Again, and then once they do relocate those, our GIS staff will go out and map those. We're going to take some nice photos and send them to them so they can update their website as well. As of June 25th, construction has been on hold. We met with the chairman and decided at this moment it would be best just to put the project on hold so we can meet here this evening to discuss this project. And here we are. Discussion. So, I got a Facebook there's been a lot of talk about this publicly recently, and I have been watching those comments, and I think there's been a lot of good criticism, critique of the project, and I'm hoping some of the presentation this evening has been able to answer some of those or address some of those concerns, but they'll still be there. And I'm hoping me tonight with other staff we can hammer some of those details out. And I think we touched on the process, the location, the design and why we chose this, the budget. I think the one thing we haven't addressed at this moment is the traffic. And this has been a question that has come up since our earlier discussions and in the public. So definitely wanted to address that now. I have spoken with VDOT since this came about again, and just reaffirmed with them if they had any traffic concerns related to this sign. In a idealistic world, yes, we would love people there all the time, looking at it, taking pictures, climbing on it. In a realistic world, I just don't see it being as busy as even a house. A house, average 9.5 trips a day. Currently, we have 5 active single-family dwelling permits along Guard Hill Road alone, and with more that could come. We have, this is Guard Hill Road alone, 57 vacant lots, 50% of them have easy potential to have a house on them. That's a lot of trips right there, and that's a by right use. We don't envision this sign having the impact as such as this. We think that the traffic from this sign will be phenomenal. In talking with VDOT, they also look at it as being off-peak type of trips during the weekend, middle of the day, not during what we would say rush hour during school, work, in the mornings and evenings. And then in speaking with the actual Guard Hill Road intersection of 522, speaking with them, that there just haven't been, looking at their crash data, has not been a lot of crashes there at that location that at this point would warrant a traffic signal. But also with the recent installations of a traffic signal at Duck Street and at the intersection where the solid waste station and carpool lot is, has created these breaks in traffic that allow people to exit not just Guard Hill Road, but also exit the McDonald's and gas station area that's north of the signals. So currently there is not a huge demand anticipated from this sign. We understand there will be some traffic, but we think we've allocated with the entrance that VDOT specified to allow people to easily enter Guard Hill Road. And we anticipate most of that traffic is going to be going into town. You're going to be seeing the sign as you're heading south on 522 as you're entering our community, and that will be when you turn over in there and go out. As you're exiting our community, I think most people at that point are ready to go home. I don't know if they're going to anticipate going here on the way out and making a left. I'm not going to say everybody's going to do that, but I would think a lot of people would be doing that. Next steps. What do we do moving forward? We are, whatever the board's discretion is at this point, we're happy to adhere to that. There's obviously options out there. We can abandon the project. We can find a new location for this love sign, tweak the design if we'd like. I do feel that we have started on the parking lot. There are currently historic markers there. I think even if we were to depart from the love sign itself, we should continue to move forward with relocating those historic signs and putting those no parking signs up to make that safer. And at this point, we definitely want to encourage people to be educated on what's historic about our community, and that's what those signs do. So I think I would like to see that part move forward. But other than that, we are welcome to any suggestions in your direction at this point, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Do we have any questions, concerns from the board?
had concerns about this because of the traffic there. And I grant you, none of us have a crystal ball that can say what the traffic is going to, the extent of the people using it are. But let's face it, tourists, when they come in, and I can say I've been the same way when I go someplace that you're unfamiliar, you don't drive the same way that you do when you live here. You know the roads, you know how you need to progress on the roads in order to do it safely. People that are coming in here as tourists don't know that. So my concern is that is a bad location historically for those of us who've grown up here, getting in and out of it. And if you do drive past it, you see it and then you think, oh, I can't get in there fast enough, and you go up and then you've got to come around. If you're going to do something that's going to boost your tourism, you want it to be in a place that's not going to aggravate them. You want it to be in a place that benefits them and the community. I don't really see the big benefit out there to the community for this sign. If you had it more locally to things that you've got a family and you're driving through and you see you want to stop, and then you see other venues that would entice the family, a restaurant, something the kids want to do, then that's a benefit tourism-wise for the community as well. Where this, and then you go home and you say, Morgan County Front Royal has this really cool sign, we stopped at it and then we went to this, and this. Where this, you don't have that. It may be a cool sign, but by the time you almost have an accident getting in and out, it's not something that you're really going to go home and say, you ought to go up there and stop by and take pictures. The whole process of how this came up, I felt kind of blindsided by it. Back in the winter, I was assured that no projects could go through without board approval. So Mrs. Oates and I apologize to the prior board, we thought they had approved this, and we made that statement, and no, they didn't. So the miscommunication on this has been bad as well. But I did check with VDOT because I had some questions, and didn't I ask you, and you answered them. Curb and guttering, that was one of the things I was wondering about, because I've got a sheet here that kind of gives an idea of what the cost of it is, but there's a lot of things that aren't on here, like the cost. You have to have a paved apron that goes 20 to 25 feet back from Guardian Road. There's no cost for that in here. There's no cost for labor. We have to figure in, even though there are employees, we have to figure that in. So I think this went over that $20,000 threshold to get there. So there's just a lot of things here that make it a worrisome thing. And I think it's a beautiful sign, but in 5 or 6 years, the maintenance of that sign, where when I looked at the pictures of your other signs, they are temporary, because this is kind of a fad. Virginia's for Lovers has lasted for 50 years, but a sign is a bit of a fad, and it's an expensive one for the times that we're going through now. And I realize this is tourism dollars, but I think when we spend those dollars, we got to spend them so they get the best bang for the buck towards our economy of our county and town. So that's my thoughts at this point.
Dolores, do you have any comment?
No, I was just going to ask, Joe, do you know what the average visitation rate for a love sign is in Virginia? I did Google, and Google doesn't know.
Yeah,
So I was wondering if...
I think it would depend. I mean, they're all in different locations. I mean, you see them, I think it just varies on what it is. Some of them are on essentially private property, wineries, breweries, and it's tough to gauge. I mean, down at the gazebo, how many people are coming to that off hour? I mean, how do you track that? This would give us an ability to track, we could see who's coming in and out a little bit more here. We can kind of in a controlled environment. Most of these are just so, you know, organic in the way that people stop and interact with them. I think that it's just tough to quantify how many people are actually coming to it, but it just varies. But I'd be happy to, you know, start calling all these places and see what their attraction is. I know Woodstock says that theirs has been very positive. People have been swinging by there. You know, that was part of their branding re-effort, and people have thoroughly enjoyed that.
Where is the location of the Woodstock?
It's at the Masson Academy down there.
Okay, so that's pretty central.
Mm-hmm.
And see, that's the thing. It needs to be somewhere that you get the bang for your buck out of it.
And I will say, you know, the discussion has come up in the town. You know, they are going through a community development block grant. And I believe the discussions have come up as they revitalize that town commons area and may incorporate a more permanent love sign. I mean, they do temporary now that there is, even though it's portable, it's there almost all the time now. That's being placed in the middle of town. So we looked at this as an opportunity for out in the county limits to have a love sign.
I guess when I think of Front Royal and Warren County, I think of them as one.
And that's why we have both. I mean, if
So
you were
I
coming
like
into
differentiate.
Front Rural Warren County, or it's, you know, the county is heading this project, we looked at it in county limits at that point. It's a county project.
Well, yeah, when you think of it, the town is in the county. So, not trying to split hairs, but, you know, it's, you know, as people say, location, location, location is everything. And, you know, I just can't get on board with that particular location. I grant you, the signs that are out there, they get your attention, but not always the best attention there. It's distracting in a way.
The way you have it positioned on Guard Hill Road, so when you come into town, the love sign is actually going to be facing this way at an angle. It's going to have a water feature, is that correct?
It's not a water feature. So there is a catch basin for storm water. So we incorporated that into the design because we want to make sure that, you know, we're not creating a dam in any way. So water would flow down, and so the water feature is essentially just keeping that natural flow of water towards that catch basin here, but incorporating both. So yeah, so as you are traveling south on Winchester Road 522-340, you will be coming off 66, and it's curved a little bit. So as you come around, you will see it as you get past the stoplight a little bit. We would do some hedge trimming here. There's some trees and stuff on this knoll where you could get a better view. It would disappear slightly as you make this bend, and then it will be prominent, so it's heading right at your view shed as you're coming in. But it's also far enough back, you know, and speaking with VDOT, making sure that we are well out of that sight distance as you're at that stop sign. So we're well beyond what their requirement is, just to make sure that we weren't impeding anybody's vision.
Because it's hard to see that area when you're coming, because you're coming around a turn there past the Sunoco station, or I think it's Shell maybe now, and you're passing that, and you don't actually see that area until you're almost there.
Yeah,
it doesn't have sight lines from that far back because I drove it a couple times.
Yeah, we stood out. We went out there and we would stand there and kind of see where we could see the cars. And like I said, you briefly catch a glimpse of it from further, and then it goes away as you go by the gas station, as you mentioned, and then you're back on.
And then, yeah. Have you considered at all the empty lot that, so there's the Sheets, United Bank, and then there's an empty lot right there by the river, just before you hit that bridge. Have you guys considered
The old motel.
Hotel.
Yeah, the old motel was there. I kind of been driving around looking for a good place for a love sign. And
That's VDOT right away as
is
well.
that also?
The problem is that would catch the way out of town, so it wouldn't welcome you to town.
In town, okay.
They've got a stormwater basin there, and they've got an L-shaped piece of property around it. If you wanted something to say goodbye, thank you for visiting, that'd be the perfect location, because it hit you right before you hit.
Right. Yeah, so I looked there, because I was just trying to figure out if there was a better location that you could see it, because by the time you come around the turn, and then you see it, you have to make a split decision about whether or not you're going to stop. So, I don't know, are there people who plan to visit love signs? Is that like a social media thing? Or I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know if you're searching them out as you go to destinations.
You do that with Mickey.
Yeah,
So
I think people, when they go, they do, if they see it, they'll take advantage of it, but there may be people who are trying to see all 202 throughout the complex right now, but not sure. And again, we also did look at this site too because there were existing signs. We wanted to incorporate as much as we could to make this spot viable.
Well, the benefit is that the political signs hopefully would go away.
Okay, we'll talk more about that next week when we're looking at our sign text ordinance.
Okay.
Is this gonna be lighted at night?
No.
Okay.
One of the questions that I had was, I know that you put the basic site plan together. In saying that, if we were to do everything that needed to be done, how many more dollars are we actually talking about? I mean, because you've got trees, you've got shrubbery, you've got sod, you've got asphalt paving, you've got things that need to be done, not necessarily today, but at some point into the future. That had to be of some consideration, because I can't see how, and maybe it's just me and my lack of understanding, because I don't know how you got away with not having a asphalt surface for handicapped people. I am a handicapped person, and getting out of an automobile and not having an asphalt surface or a flat surface, I have difficulty. Not that I just don't tap dance well. But I do want to have something that's secure when I get out. And a gravel surface, to me, doesn't look like that's it. And how did we not plan for the dollars that it was going to take to get to something better than what it is right now?
Plus you've got stormwater coming down Garden
Right.
Road that's gonna wash that. So wasn't there a plan that this was gonna be paved anyway?
So we had worked with, like I said, our landscape architect firm, BDOT. We had spoken with staff here internally. There's talk about cutting in the swale here to prevent some of the sheet erosion that's coming down Guard Hill Road that would divert water around. As far as future plans, future dollars, when we looked at this budget, again, we have good staff at our Public Works or Parks and Rec department. I was able to look at the plans and come up with some budget numbers, and that's what we didn't look at, the future of what we need, because this is what we were planning for now. Obviously, to make the one thing the sign itself is going to be constructed well, that it's, we hopefully don't have to do much maintenance for that anytime soon. The stone that we were acquiring for the parking lot was stone that we already had, and we have staff here that can handle that maintenance. We have a landscape maintenance agreement with BDOT to make sure that we're maintaining it. Hopefully there's just not a lot of maintenance to do, because it's, in most terms, it's fairly simple layout with the parking lot and the path and the sign. Like I said, there's no electrical, no water, many different things. The paving, if we had to do that in the future, we would just have to look at as separate items.
I noticed in your one drawing, it had water valve crossing about the handicap. What is that?
There is so the town has a pump station right here. There's a water line that runs through here, and there's a fire hydrant. In this location, there's a water valve not right there, and we've been working with the town, and they can raise lower need to make that for that parking lot. They've been integral in this process. We made sure we've met out there on site with them and that they are okay with all their utilities. We've got this utility come out and mark it as well.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
After completion, what will be the cost to the county for this project, total cost? Do you have any estimate on what the total cost is going to be?
So the cost that we received is that budget that you have now. That's the numbers that we've gotten from our staff that show that.
This is what I have.
I didn't have anything on that.
We didn't get a packet.
I emailed it out to the board members yesterday.
Yeah.
I didn't get it, sorry, but
I didn't check the email, so I don't know. But this is
I believe
$12,000 this September.
Yes, sir. And some of that has already been, it's with the design, the VDOT. We had to have this surveyed by a local company who came in, did the topo lines, did our entrance plan for VDOT, didn't account for that in the budget.
Did not or did?
We did. It's in the budget, correct?
so your apron, asphalt apron is not in this. The employees, ground county water employees is not figured in this. And I know that usually is because with the golf course, when I asked initially what the cost was for our guys to do the work out there, mowing and so forth, we didn't get it. So if we closed it, it was going to be $38,000 a year. So I know we do figure that in, and that's not figured in here. And I'm not trying to shoot the messenger, honey. I know you're just doing your, this is beyond everything, that you have control over. But Mr. Stanley's not in here, it should be.
Right, wrong, indifferent. Mrs. Colors, typically we don't include my cost and time, Joey's time, all those things typically are not factored in. The $20,000 is my authority for one thing to sign off on. It's like if we buy a tractor, if it's over 20 under our purchasing policies, then anything over that, 20,001 and up, will come to the board for approval. Granted, this project has not come to the Board of Supervisors as a project for approval. We have talked about it at the various building committee meetings over the last year. It is something that's in that transition. Certainly, if the board doesn't want to do it, we don't have to do it. We've got some money sunk into it now, especially as far as the design piece. I think Joe's done an outstanding job of running with the project for the last year. We understand the transportation access concerns, but I think for a sign in the site plan, this project has received more scrutiny from VDOT. VDOT's been on site at least, once or twice with you?
We've had VDOT on site at least twice with us. They met with the surveyor, and then as our staff was doing the entrance currently, they were stop line while they were doing their inspections out in the field and would check it every day just to make sure that it was still compliant.
So I think at the end of the day, does the board like the project and want to proceed with it? Do you, I think the concept of the parking lot makes sense from the standpoint it's consolidating. You've got Civil War battlefield signs, you have historic markers. You're being able to consolidate all of that information to one location to make it a nice spot and a safe spot if someone does want to pull off. Typically now, people pull off on the right shoulder, right in front of the signs, on the busy side on 35522 where you have 31,000 cars.
Yeah, they're pulling over now, and again, a lot of people don't even know those signs are there. I think this also highlights that a little bit, which is a good thing that our historic markers are there. So we are highlighting that aspect as well. Again, as Mr. Stanley said, Bannon project, we do have the design complete. I'm sure we could move this design wherever we'd like to go in the county with it. Pick the plans up and site it somewhere else, if that's the direction, or again, we can move on from this project and go somewhere else, do something else.
How much do we have in it right now?
Really, right now, we have the design costs, we have the surveyor costs, our VDOT application, and I am not aware of any costs, I apologize for, any staff materials at this time. Nothing has been presented to me that staff has spent on that, like the stonework. We did install some rebar up there. I'm not sure if they've spent anything on that, and nothing's been provided to me that they have. So the exact number.
But the design alone, Joe, how much do you have in the design piece?
I apologize. So the design itself, so the design and surveying and engineering was $7,012.08. And that includes, like again, our survey cost, which was $1,800 to have it surveyed, entrance plan, topo, and utilities marked.
So $7,000, is that what you're
Yes.
saying?
So with the 2 grant pieces, another 5 by the county gets the project completed with using the grant money for the site.
With the grant, so the total cost would be $12,090.
But that's.
But you spent some.
But we've spent 7 of that currently.
But that's backing out the.
That's backing out
rotary
the
and
rotary cost and the
$1,500.
$1,500 reimbursement. Yes.
But also, you have stone for parking lot and the side, and there's no cost associated, so the stone is already there.
The stone is already there. You know, again, these were provided by Parsons, and they have some type of solid topsoil.
We have stockpile
Yeah,
stone that we
stockpile.
got from the Dominion project, so we have a stockpile stone. The topsoil and seed, obviously, we'd have to bring in, but we've got topsoil we could find, and it's a matter of purchasing the seed for a few $100s for the seed. But it's ballpark in the neighborhood about $5,000 to complete in county tourism dollars. And I point out that by the end of this fiscal year, the board has about $300,000 in tourism dollars for the last 3 years that we've got sitting aside. Some of that's going to be needed for the wayfinding. The wayfinding side, let's talk about signs. The wayfinding project is probably going to be a couple $100,000 a piece for the town and county. By the time it'll all be bid out, in theory, third-party vendors. So we'll spend probably a good chunk of what's sitting aside, but we do have approximately $300,000 in funding that's sitting aside for tourism as of this month.
Any questions? I'd like to offer it up for anybody out in the audience. Please make your comments brief, and if you would come up and talk into the microphone this time, please. Thank you, Mr. President.
I'll be right here.
Okay.
Presentation, John. Gary Cushing, 1106 Fetcher Road. Compliment staff. I mean, they went all out on this. I think the question is whether we should have not. Just because somebody has an idea doesn't mean we have to run with it. If the state has got people doing love signs, and we already have a welcome sign out around the Apple House, and the town's got a love sign there at the gazebo, it doesn't mean that we've got to, do something as well. It's like Supervisor Culler said, we're all one jurisdiction, really. That's how everybody thinks of it. This sign is not going to draw people. The sign is not a destination for tourists. And so it's made the point. Even the social crew, they're not searching the internet trying to find out what these love signs are so that they can, collect pictures and post them and look how many love signs I've visited. It's a sideshow, really. So, I've been to that location a couple of weeks ago. I went there on a Sunday afternoon. I was a one-man demonstrator, as typical. I had a sign. It said, love sign, more traffic, bad idea. And Mrs. Oates was right about the sight lines, because I'm trying to position myself where the traffic's coming 45 miles an hour can see the sign. Well, they don't see it till they run up on you because of that curve. And they're traveling 45 miles an hour. They need to be paying attention to the road, not some turkey off to the side on the side. Joe was right about the traffic lights, north and south. they control the traffic and they are allowing people to come out of Guard Hill. So I was surprised it was as easy for people to get in and out of there as it ended up being. My recommendation is this: nix the sign. If somebody thinks we want to put it someplace else that's a better location, fine. I would not do anything with the parking lot. Leave it exactly the way that it is. The current pull-off areas are good. I think it was reported that this is not an accident location. It's not just a pull-off area, it's a paved area as well as gravel. There's plenty of room for people to pull off to look at the markers. Now, generally people wouldn't be searching for those markers. The people who will notice those markers are people who are interested in markers. They'll be looking for them. And you also have to think about people with RVs and campers. They're not going to pull into that parking lot. So if you put no parking signs out there inside, you're going to eliminate the people who might want to pull over and look at the marker signs now. The RVs and campers are bigger. They're not going to fit in that parking lot. So, leave it alone. Leave the markers where they are. No, don't forget the no parking signs. And redirect whatever funds that we're going to go towards this to some other tourism initiative that actually draws people in. Thank you.
Hello. Chrissy Atwood, 1255 Pilgrim's Way, Bentonville, Virginia. Usually I don't beat around the bush with these things. When I saw this, I reached out to VDOT myself. Though they want to postpone paving, it must be done before this project is complete to ensure they don't get the surety bond. Also, the landscaping must be done. There were no quotes put into what you were given. Everybody's danced around it, but we are just being completely buffaloed on this project. It is going to cost way over $20,000, probably more close to $30,000 or $35,000 when you get all the paving in. I did call a paving company and they gave me a quote on how much that would be. I called to get a quote on the side and on the trees that they had listed but were never shown to you guys. So it's like, I feel like I can't really say so much the employees, but the administration is working against you guys, not working with you guys and giving you the truth. And that's got to stop. I don't agree with this love sign. I think it is way over cost. A better initiative would be have artisans that are local submit stuff, art students or people that just are creative, and get them to submit love signs that may not be permanent, but that we can put at certain places. I mean, that would be the thing to do. Put one down at the carnival grounds because there's really nothing going on right now and you can take pictures. I mean, that's what we have to do. We don't have to just put our money and get these objects that are so expensive and just so outlandish. If we have tourism dollars set aside, that should be used for marketing, and especially since we don't have a tourism group anymore. I mean, I think Robert sent y'all the cost for Fox, DC, that we could do a media packet. That would be perfect to spend this money. But this love sign is a joke. And it's time for certain people to be held accountable because they're way overspending on the money they are allowed to spend. And it's time to quit beating around the bush. Thank you.
Mr. Garrett?
Good evening, Paul Gabbard, 1221 Valley View Drive. Joe did a very good presentation here. I'm not quite sure, though, that he's as comfortable with this job as what he thinks he is. I kind of get a hesitation from him that there's a lot here that shouldn't be, and expense is one of them. Location is one, just a love sign in itself is another. People don't need to see a love sign sitting there in Front Royal. People already know why they're coming to Front Royal, and a love sign doesn't need to tell them why they're here. I do have a question before I say other statements. Mr. Stanley said that this was never approved by the board. If it's never been approved, how could money have already been spent on it?
I would add to that, Mr. Chairman. The county administrator has the authority to authorize expenditure of funds on projects.
So this spending of money didn't have to go and be approved. Why does it have to be approved by the board now?
Because the board has asked for it to be considered.
Is this really true?
Yeah, that's why we stopped the project.
Wow. That's amazing. I'm kind of at a loss after that, knowing that money can be spent without board approval.
It's approved, Mr. Gabbard, through the budget. We have money budgeted for tourism.
The budget gets approved by the board, right?
Ultimately, but there is money and stuff that's not necessarily earmarked for each specific thing.
Okay. There's money, more money involved in this project that you see. Just like Christy said, there's shades will pull down over your all's eyes. This should never even come before the old board. This is a joke to begin with, a love sign. It's incredible. All this money being spent on a love sign. What was the ulterior motive? Not for people to come into town. Not for people to come in here and see a love sign. There was more going on. And I'm not going to accuse anybody, I'm not going to name names, but this is just part of what's always been going on in this county. A love sign costing this much money. Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Chairman, Rick Novak. I live at 273 Jackson Place, Middletown, Virginia. I'm very familiar with that road. I drive it at least 9 times a day by the count for households, because I live out that way. I was president of Rotary in 2018, or I was outgoing president, when we were sitting around looking at some of the monies that we raised, and we had some excess monies that we hadn't allocated. And it was suggested that the state was encouraging localities to put up their own love signs. And so we felt we could carve out $3,500 and try and find a location for it. It's amazing that it's turned into this. Honestly, I can't believe it. Love letters are not supposed to attract people. They are a social media thing where you take your picture and the community gets free advertising. We have 3 entrances to our town, by my count, or 3 major ones. And I think it's a good idea to let people know what community you're arriving in. This actually does both. It's the love letter and it's a welcome to Warren County Front Royal sign. I don't know, that seems like a good idea to me. We used to have one down at the intersection by 7-Eleven, a metal one, and finally, deteriorated. And we really haven't had one since. That corner is a high visibility corner. At least 1/3 of our tourists come in there. Politicians love it. They love it. So if there's no visibility there, why are politicians putting their signs there? I'm not sure. People coming into town, hopefully, we'll see that beautiful vista behind the love letters, if you guys choose to allow it to continue. They'll take their pictures, a couple of them a day, if we're lucky, and they'll post them on their Facebook. Everybody does Facebook, or the younger people do Instagram and other things I don't know about. But for people with my color hair and you know, a little bit younger, it's Facebook. So how bad would it be for people driving into our town to take a picture next to the strongest brand in the country, love letters, love, and say they're in Front Royal and Warren County? How bad? To the questions about the apron, I'm not 100% certain, but Guard Hill Road is super wide there. And if you look at what's lined out on it, I believe the apron is already there. But don't quote me on it, but it looks...
Sorry.
Hey, Christy, you had your chance, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Did I talk during your time? All right. So that's another thing. I encourage everybody in our community to start building things and stop tearing things down. It's ridiculous. Let's get on with building good things in our community. And I think with that, I've said enough. I hope you guys, in your infinite wisdom, will continue on with this project, whether it costs $12,000 or $30,000. It's cheap. You have the money. If you didn't get to approve it because the administrator had $20,000 of discretionary income, I'm sorry if you were offended by that. But it's a good project. Let's do it. Let's not waste the $7,000 that's already in it.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Hi, I'm Kim Crump, 95 Schoolhouse Lane, Front Royal. And I wear a lot of different hats in the community. Even my personal one is being a citizen. But I'm with the Blue Ridge Arts Council. I have been for almost 20 years. And in that regard, I can't tell you how many times artists and all sorts of different people in our community have approached me about why don't we have love signs. Now, we do have love signs now, but those just came to us in the last couple months. This project's been working since 2018. I was invited to several of the meetings when we talked about its initial design and some of the initial places it could be. I'm going to tell you as a citizen, what Rick just brought up about political signs, if there's low visibility there, then why does everyone put their sign there? I call every year repeatedly, and I'm told there's nothing that can be done about it. So if this project doesn't go through and this location doesn't work, then I'm going to ask you all as candidates and people that also support other candidates and other parties, that you personally not allow signs to go there. That you take that upon yourself personally, because all of your signs, if you ever had a sign made, it's been there. And so, you know, let's really clean it up and make it safe, if that's the concern here. Because it's not safe. People pull over, I see people there all the time with their stakes and their mallets and pounding them in, and so it's not a safe place. People are pulling off there anyway. So, you know, maybe we need to look at if we cannot have a nice love sign and an entrance and a welcoming sign to our community, maybe we need to look at like putting like a big ugly fence around it so people can't be there. And with all respect to the historical markers, the same goes. If we can't have a sign like this here, then it's not a safe place for them as well. If the argument is that it's a distraction and that it causes traffic issues, then they need to be relocated as well. So I think this is a terrific project. I am proud and happy that I've been involved with it as a Rotarian, as someone who works with the arts in the community, and as a citizen. And I would urge you to go forward with this. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Mr. Gabbard, would you like to say something else?
It's not about spending $7,000, $15,000 more dollars. It all goes back to what this county was before you three got elected on this board. Money was spent on everything, on stuff that didn't matter. Money was no object, just like this. A love sign, if you want a love sign, instead of spending all this money on this love sign, like was said. You could have got an artisan. Given an artisan in this town, in this county, probably $20,000 to make a beautiful love sign and put it up out there. It's not about what we have to spend now. It's about the whole daggone project, which I think some people don't see. A big love sign, a couple $100,000 when it probably could have been made for $20,000.
A couple $100,000, really?
Excuse me, did I talk during yours?
Gentlemen. Sorry, it was just funny.
Yeah. Okay, how much was it?
17 is the number that.
So, total.
That's what we've got proposed.
Proposed right now, but we don't have sod, we don't have gravel, we don't have blacktop, we don't have all this, we don't have all that. Bottom line is it could have been given to somebody in town and helped a citizen out, a business out in town instead of doing all of this. You know, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Love, love, love.
Anyone else like to speak? If not, we'll move on to the next item.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
So is this going to be on the agenda?
Microphone.
Thank you. So this will be on the 21st agenda?
Yes, it will. Emily, would you make sure that that happens? Thank you.